go again, guys, with another episode of Marvel Studios What If. Another great episode. I do have to say probably episode 2 is better just because, Chadwick Boseman's performance and just everything going on in that episode was amazing. But this was still a really great episode. I really enjoyed our whole murder mystery here, trying to figure out who murdered the Avengers, and there were some cool characters that popped up that I was not expecting. So we're going to go ahead and break down all of it, all the big details and moments from this episode, Easter eggs, all that good stuff. So, of course, before we get into this, spoiler warning, if you have not yet seen Marvel Studios What If Episode 3, aka What If the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes? Again, a great episode. So, the whole synopsis and thing that's going on in this episode is that somebody is murdering the Avengers, or, well, that's before they become the Avengers, so murdering everybody that is involved in the Avengers initiative. And we actually see that this episode takes place during Fury's big week. Of course, this is something from the MCU where basically, Iron Man 2, Thor, and the Incredible Hulk all took place within the same week. It was like 3 days in a row. So that's why it's called Fury's big week, because it's literally like he's so busy because he's got these crazy things going on all at once. So we start off this episode with Nick Fury and Black Widow actually trying to recruit Tony Stark to the Avengers, and this takes place on Monday, and this is of course something that happened in Iron Man 2. But then all of a sudden Tony Stark dies because Natasha injects him with the thing that's supposed to cure his I forgot what it was called, but it's the thing that he was dealing with in that movie, but instead he dies. And of course, because of that, everybody blames Natasha and is like, alright, she did it. So then that's when we move on to Tuesday, where Fury has to actually send Widow away in an armored truck with Brock Rumlow actually driving it. Of course, Brock Rumlow going on in the future to not only be revealed to be a secret Hydra agent, but also Crossbones. So that's really cool that we got Frank Grillo back for this episode. And he's going to be returning in, I think, at least 1 or 2 other episodes as well. So that was really cool to see here. So, of course, she's able to escape because, well, she's Black Widow. But then meanwhile, like I said, it's Fury's big week. So we've also got the events of the first Thor movie going on as well, where we have Thor trying to infiltrate the new base that's been set up by S.H.I.E.L.D., where they were investigating Mjolnir, which recently crashed in the desert of New Mexico. So he's infiltrating that base, and of course, he's trying to lift Mjolnir. And just like in that first movie, we were introduced to Hawkeye, and Hawkeye was up there on his perch. He was all ready to shoot his arrow at Thor, and then Fury was like, alright, don't fire, I want to see how this goes. And he doesn't fire until all of a sudden lightning strikes, and it looks like he fires, it looks like he shoots his arrow, but he didn't. So he's like, I don't slip, like that wasn't me. And obviously everybody thinks that he did it because now one of his arrows is sticking out of Thor. So now that is 2 dead Avengers and 2 Avengers candidates that are blamed for these murders. And next thing you know, Hawkeye's dead too, because he's sitting there in his prison cell and all of a sudden he's just dead. So now we move on to Wednesday, Hump Day, and Natasha Romanoff actually visits Betty Ross, which was really cool. This was something I was not expecting here in this episode. Of course, Betty Ross, the love interest of Bruce Banner in the original The Incredible Hulk movie. She's not voiced by Liv Tyler here, but still cool to see the character back. There's even rumors she may return in the She-Hulk Disney Plus series, but it was cool to see her here. Also, Mark Ruffalo, Bruce Banner here. It was really cool to see Mark Ruffalo's voice coming out of Bruce Banner, doing the events and scenes from The Incredible Hulk. That was really cool because then we actually get that scene from, you got like that hallway that's on like the second floor with like all the glass windows, which first of all sounds like a really bad idea, where you got Bruce Banner up there, Nat is up there with her, and then all of a sudden he gets shot and he starts turning into the Hulk. But usually the Hulk can't die, but in this scenario he does, because then something inside of him makes it so that he keeps growing. Not only is he now the Hulk, he keeps getting bigger and bigger until the Hulk explodes. And this was a crazy, gross, graphic moment, but also very cool. So then there's only one Avengers member candidate left, and that, of course, is Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow, where we see that she's investigating this, still trying to figure out who the murderer is, and she gets attacked by it seemingly an invisible opponent. There's nobody there, but she's getting punched, she's getting taken down. She calls Fury and says it's all about hope. Next thing you know, Black Widow is dead. And as soon as this happened, I was like super confused. Like, what do you mean it's all about hope? Like Hope Van Dyne, like the Wasp? I have no idea what they're talking about. What is she saying? Who is Hope and what's going on here? And this is where we find out what's really going on, because we have Nick Fury, and he grabs the pager that he used in the post-credit scene of Avengers Infinity War to call Captain Marvel, the pager he got back in the 90s, and Fury goes to talk to Loki. Next thing you know, it's Thursday, and we see that Nick Fury is now in a graveyard. And what's going on here? Well, he walks up upon the gravestone of Hope Van Dyne. This is exactly what Natasha meant by it's all about hope. So, in this universe, Hope, the daughter of Hank Pym, who in the future goes on to become the Wasp, was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and she ended up dying. And now, because of that, Hank Pym wants revenge, and that is why he has been going around and killing the Avengers. And oh, this was such a crazy moment, because it's not at all something I was expecting to see here, because we saw it in the trailer that Hank Pym was going to be Yellow Jacket, but I had no idea he was going to show up in this episode, and it makes so much sense because, you know, throughout this whole thing, I was so confused, like, all right, I have no idea who this murderer is, but it's Yellow Jacket, and it was so cool, especially because in the comics, of course, Hank Pym was the original Yellow Jacket. In the MCU, we saw that Darren Cross was the villain that took on the mantle of Yellow Jacket and, you know, caused all that trouble for Ant-Man in the first Ant-Man movie, but in this story, Hank Pym is the one that actually becomes Yellow Jacket, just like he does in the comics. And, you know, when he does become Yellow Jacket in the comics, he is kind of a villain at the time. So I really enjoyed seeing that. We get a little bit of a more comics accurate look for Yellow Jacket. So that was awesome to see here. And then we get a little Yellow Jacket versus Nick Fury. Turns out what we had earlier with Nick Fury going to talk to Loki, he ended up getting the help of Loki, so they're able to easily take down Yellow Jacket. But still, it was so cool and just really cool to see this. But then it's Friday, and Loki decides, alright, I'm going to stay on Earth, and then he takes over the world. He goes to the United Nations, he takes over the world, and he is now the ruler of Earth. And of course, now the Avengers are gone, and Nick Fury and Coulson here are talking. Also, shout out to Clark Gregg. Really cool to see him return here in this episode. And they're just talking about, like, alright, so the Avengers are gone, and now Loki is taking over the world. They were kind of the whole plan to stop Loki if this ever happened. So now what? And then we get a follow-up to previously when Nick Fury grabbed that pager, because he says, welcome back, Captain. And at this moment, he is like actually looking at the Captain America shield that's still in ice. But then he turns around and Captain Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, is standing right there. So that was definitely really cool to see. And that was the cliffhanger of the episode. So I'm interested to see if we actually get a follow-up from this, very similar to the first couple episodes, where, like, with the first episode, we got the cliffhanger of Captain Carter showing up present day with Nick Fury and Hawkeye. Episode 2, we got the cliffhanger of Ego recruiting Star-Lord. Peter Quill, because he never became Star-Lord. So I'm really interested to see if this actually comes back and they're going to actually follow up after this, because clearly things are not going good for this Earth. But honestly, Captain Marvel could probably take down Loki pretty easily by herself. Because we know that this series is going to start intertwining soon, and that it's all going to come together by the end. We're going to be getting the Guardians of the Multiverse, and it's going to be this crazy multiversal team, so I'm not sure if Captain Marvel's going to be on that, but definitely sounds interesting, definitely is really cool. And again, another great episode. This was really fun. There were a lot of twists and turns. Not expecting to see Betty Ross show up here. Not expecting to see Hank Pym Yellow Jacket. I was really surprised to see that he was the murderer, but it makes so much sense and was, again, just really, really cool to see. So yeah, I loved it. Guys, what did you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about Marvel Studios What If Episode 3, aka What If the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes. And of course, stay tuned for my episode review and breakdown for next week's episode of Marvel What If, Episode 4. We have no idea what this is about. I think there's probably a rumor about what it's about online somewhere. I don't know it off the top of my head. Maybe I'll do a video on it. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep up to date on everything that goes on in the Marvel life.